So I'm going to jump right into it, Coach, and to congratulate you on behalf of Eagle Nation and not only you, but your coaching staff and the whole team for that very convincing win at Lambert on Friday night. Final score was 34-10. Very little doubt about that one. We never trailed in the game. Here's some numbers for you. I keep stats too for Milton, so I get kind of accustomed to these numbers and love to talk about them. Milton with 414 yards of total offense, Lambert with 345. The running back for Lambert carried the ball 44 times for 188 yards. It's a lot of carries. Our defense was on the field for 33 minutes out of a 48-minute game. And in the second quarter, they had the ball for 11 minutes out of 12. Second quarter. Lambert ran 74 plays to our 43 plays in the game. Not quite twice as many, but close. Milton scored on three, pretty big plays. A 71-yard run by Waters, a 67-yard run, or 67-yard TD run by Van Horst, and a flea flicker pass to Waters for a 41-yard touchdown. And all those plays came in the first half. So it was a really fun game. I think fun game for spectators in light of the big plays. Probably a little tougher for the defense, but a lot of explosive plays, and really love that flea flicker TD to Sire. Is that something that you guys practice during the week a lot? Is it kind of designed for those particular players, or what do you do during the week on that?
Yeah, I think we're 4 for 4 with our gadget plays. Is that on? All right, and this is something each week we go in. We'll have 1 or 2 in the menu, maybe even 3. And we work on. Don't like to call them trick plays really because we work on and practice them. So if you remember, came up big in the Edward game with the throwback to Jordan. Solomon's 2 for 2 now throwing the ball, so he's done a good job with that. But just trying to find the right time to call those plays, and we've had some success with them. So.
Yeah. Well, Waters, he seems to be making a big contribution in lots of phases of the game.
Right.
And I just wonder if you could tell us a little bit more. He's a junior, 2 touchdowns on Friday, and what are you seeing as far as the development of him as a player?
Well, again, it really goes back to kind of highlighting that philosophy we have with 2 positions. He's one of the, I guess, the examples of what we can do. If you remember, we started as a corner against Roswell. I had a big pick in the end zone. Was doing a great job playing on that side of the ball. Played a little bit of offense, or a lot of offense early on. We had an injury last week to one of our slot receivers, so we were able to then pull him back over to primary offense. And just he had a huge role in the game and had a huge game.
Yeah. Well, for a junior, that was pretty spectacular too to see him performing like that.
Yeah, he's a great athlete.
Yeah. So let's talk about the amount of time our defense is spending on the field, right? So again, that second quarter was pretty brutal, but part of it's just because we had some big plays that were going on, and they were going to have the ball, and they happened to keep us on the field for a long time. Would you call our defense a bend but not break kind of defense, or?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think we're going to keep the ball in front of us. And utilize. We got some very talented D linemen who help us get pressure there, and we don't have to blitz as much. And it's just kind of a safer style of defense. And we got great pursuit to the ball.
Yeah.
We really rally to the ball well. And it's hard for teams and offenses to put together 12 and 14 play drives if you keep it in front of you. One of the byproducts of that, or the drawbacks, is the time of possession at times. And our time of possession is not the same. Last week, like you said, we're scoring on 1 and 2 and 3 play drives. You're not ever going to tell the offense to not put it in the end zone. But in a couple of weeks passing, previous, it was more about us struggling to get teams off on 3rd down, and then maybe us, having a 3 and out on offense. So, time of possession is an important thing to look at, but again, it's not always the same.
Yeah.
On
I was just thinking about it more from the standpoint of the guys just wearing out, right? And is there anything you guys do as far as substitution, or are there coaches on the sidelines that are kind of looking for that exhaustion factor to say, hey, we got to pull that kid and put somebody else in there?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that goes back to the philosophy that we want 15 to 20 guys who we feel comfortable with rolling in and out. And we do play a lot of guys on the defensive side.
Yeah.
And you know, I love watching teams who can throw in guys to give the other guys a blow and you know, not miss a beat. So that's been huge for us, and that goes back to our summer preparation and our goal to be a 48-minute team and be able to you know, be strong in the fourth quarter.
Well, it's working. I mean, I've got some numbers later on we can talk about that kind of indicate that. So anyway, I appreciate that. The Jordan Davis interception return in the third quarter, and he looked like he really wanted to break that thing and get a piece of the end zone, didn't he?
He sure did.
What did you see out there that you liked about that play, and what were you thinking after he made that pick and took off?
It was good to see us finally catch one. We talked about 5 of them earlier in the game. I think it was 5. You know, guys were in the right spot. I think they were in such good position that it startled them when the ball hit them in the chest. But yeah, JD, like you said, he's a great competitor, great athlete. You know, he does get a little bit of time at running back work with us. We haven't ever had to really use him in the game yet. He's our up back on the punt, on our punt formation, so he's got a couple of carries there. He had the big fake punt play against Roswell. Direct snap to him. And yeah, he gets the ball in his hands, he wants to score. It was very impressive watching his effort on that.
Well, it didn't put him in the end zone, but I think shortly after that we did kick a 42-yard field goal, which was good. Converted that interception into a three-point play, and that was good. I think it made the score 27-10 at that point. Again, we never really didn't have the lead in that game, but it was nice to be in that kind of comfortable lead position for most of the game. I wanted to ask you about kind of the kicking game a little bit while we're here. You got a kid kicking extra points. He's 29 for 29 on extra points. When he has a chance to kick the ball, right? There's been a couple when he didn't really get that chance. It was a bad snap, but when he does get a chance to kick, he's 29 for 29. He's 7 for 10 on field goals. Made a long 42-yarder the other day. I just wonder if that's given the coaching staff a little bit of pause in terms of its offensive strategy. You know, you get down there and you're like, hey, it's a long kick, but it's okay. What's your thinking as far as the kicking game and kind of the confidence that you've got in the ability to score points with that weapon?
Well, yeah, Hayden's come along tremendously. You know, he battled injuries last year, and he would kind of give us updates on about 60%, 70%, whatever. And I think he's finally up to about 100% now. And not only is he doing a good job, you know, in the PAT and in the field goal game, but he's also doing a great job on our kickoff game as well. We put a lot of work and a lot of pride into our kickoff coverage, because I think that was an area that was struggling a little early in the year. You know, we're starting them at the 20 or behind the 20 more than we're not. But he's done a tremendous job, and he looks very healthy. You know, and that was a huge kick for us going forward. Like you said, not only with maybe my confidence in it, but his confidence.
Right.
For him to bang through a 42-yarder, that was great. You know, you never know when you're going to need that big kick.
That's right.
These big games coming up. So, and he made 2 of them for us that really set the game. You know, kind of put him away.
Yeah, 2 field goals in that. So let's talk about that defense again. So your our offense. Your 4th and goal from the Lambert 2-yard line early in the 4th quarter. Score is 27-10. Milton takes a timeout, I think maybe after 2nd down or something like that. And we failed to score on 4th and goal after having 1st and goal from the 4-yard line. I was curious about what was the conversation during the timeout? What were you thinking about on that drive and the importance of kind of sticking it in the end zone there with the score, you know, 27-10? What was the conversation like, and what either went well or what didn't go so well to lead to that outcome?
Well, you know, we had a great play call on the fourth goal, but it was actually kind of another one of our kind of trick plays. And I'll just be honest with you, you know, something hit me. We're up 17 points. I got a lot of respect for the other guys on the sideline, you know, Coach Daniels and those guys over there. And I just didn't feel right about a trick play up by 3 scores with, you know, less than 5 minutes to go in the game. And so kind of wanted to think about it. It was actually a great call, and I think it would have definitely worked. But you know, again, I just kind of let's maybe go in a different direction and save that for another game.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, we didn't get in. You know, we had a little issue in the low red area, and it's definitely where we want to improve upon. And we worked today in the office, you know, kind of going back and reassessing and trying to figure out how we're going to get those tough yards, because we got to be able to punch those things in the end zone.
Yeah, yeah. Love to hear about the improvement opportunities there. That's great to hear. I'm gonna move now here real quick to the kind of our season to date review. We've got 9 games in the books now. Last time I was here talking to you, it was before the Alpharetta game.
Wow.
Right, and there was lots of anxiety and excitement about the new coach and what's going to happen, you know, this season. And so, you know, I've got some numbers here to tell you about. And it turns out that all that excitement that I was wondering about was all for pretty good reason. A quick look back at some numbers. Milton had 3 crosstown rivalry games in the first half of the year. Right, that first time we met, we were thinking, oh, we got to win those 3 games, not just 1, but 3. Right? That's what we did. And we won them all convincingly. Combined scores. If you add up all the scores for us and the scores for them, it was 95-22 in those 3 games alone. Now Alpharetta, you know, we beat them in game 1. Yeah, you're gonna clap on that one. You got a lot more clapping to do, guys. We beat them in game 1, and the Raiders are undefeated since that game. I'm sure you know that.
Yeah, that's a good football team for sure.
Yeah. Milton wins all 5 road games in the regular season. Last time we did that was 2014. That team finished 11-2. And prior to that, it was all the way back in 1980 that we won all 5 of our road games. That team finished 9-2. Nice to win the road games. I don't know if you have a comment as to why we're winning all the road games. We lost, the only 2 we lost were at home, but is there something different in the process or in the discipline or anything that goes into those road games?
I mean, I enjoy going down there. I like the flow of that day, honestly, probably better because it's not trying to fill time sometimes, you know,
okay, right.
Busy, so it's just you don't really have time to get anxious.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't think high school football home away really matters that much. It's, you know, we play 2 pretty darn good teams here and lost by, you know, a play.
That's right.
For both teams.
Where are you playing them, right?
That probably has more to do with home and away.
Well, the 2 home games we did lose, we lost by a total of 11 points. Milton beat Roswell this year by 33 points, the worst drubbing in that game since 1954. Put it there, buddy. That was sweet. Let's see, we lost to 8-1 North Gwinnett. They're ranked number 5 in the state by the AJC. And we lost to them by 3 points. We led with 5 minutes remaining in that game. We lost to South Forsyth. They're also 8-1 with a forfeit as their loss. And they're ranked number 9 in the AJC ranking. So the 2 teams we lost to, highly ranked in the state. Not bad losses. They're all tough, but those aren't bad losses. Milton scored nearly twice the total number of points as its opponents on the year. We scored 232 points so far. They scored 117, almost double the number of points. Milton, you talk about red zone opportunities. We scored on 74% of the red zone opportunities. That means either touchdown or field goal, but 74% of our red zone opportunities resulted in points, and we've held our opponents to 60% scoring in the red zone. Our defense has intercepted passes 8 times, spread out among 7 defenders. Our kicker is 29 for 29 on extra point attempts, 7 for 10 on field goal. Milton averages 378 yards of offense, and our defense holds opponents to just shy of 300 yards. So far, we've scored 30 touchdowns. The opponents have scored 15 touchdowns, twice as many. In the fourth quarter, Milton outscores its opponents 81-28 in the fourth quarter of all games played.
That's probably the best stat we read all night.
That's a good one. We averaged 26 yards on kickoff returns. Pretty solid. Our leading rusher has 945 yards after 9 games. Our quarterback has thrown for over 1,500 yards and 12 touchdowns. And coach, as far as balancing the offense, run and pass, rushing accounts for 53% of our offensive yardage, 47% due to passing. So a very well-balanced offense. I think we talked about that before the season started, and that was one of your goals. Really was keep them guessing, and one way that proves out is with that balance. So we're 7-2, 3-1 in region play. How do you feel? I mean, after all those numbers, how do you feel about the team's progress? What do you see as kind of the key positives for this football team? And what do you see as the key opportunities for improvement as we move into this coming week and then, of course, into the playoff season?
You know, there's been a 7-month, 8-month transition for everybody. And we talked a lot about, you know, the philosophy of you're constantly building and you've got a big picture goal in mind and you know, you want to be getting there at the right time, and the right time being, you know, week 10, 11, playoffs. You know, wish we could have had it right where we wanted, you know, a couple of weeks ago. You know, we dropped the game to South Forsyth, but we learned some things about ourselves. You know, I learned a lot. I took a big lesson in that game about our identity offensively, and I think we've really kind of reshaped that and focused in on what it is that we are really going to be great at. You know, I know we only scored the 17 points against Central Forsyth, but we did have over 500 yards of offense. And then last week, you know, last Friday we had, you know, the great offensive performance. So what's been cool to me is to see that growth. You know, we had a very challenging discussion last Sunday with the boys and with the coaches, to be honest, about what our expectations are going to be throughout the week, because it didn't feel like we were quite there. And they responded amazingly. It was easily our best week of practice this past week, and I think that's the result of, or that's why you saw the result of probably the most complete game. So with that being said, you know, those numbers are great, and you know, you like to see that success and that data. But the most exciting thing is that I still feel us trending upwards, and I still feel like we've got better ball ahead of us, and what better time to be going up and getting ready to play your best ball than that for playoffs.
Yeah. You know, I didn't have in our agenda here much about the prior 2 games, the South or the Central game, but I did kind of want to know a little bit more about what those conversations with your coaches were like after that game. What was the feeling in the locker room after the South game? Was it, hey, they were a better team than we were, or yeah, they may have been better, but we've got some opportunities we know what we need to get better at? Or what was the feeling in the locker room after that game, and what did you guys talk about with the boys?
Well, again, you know, failure or, you know, drawbacks, setbacks, whatever you want to call them, you know, those are opportunities for growth.
Yeah.
Those are opportunities to learn. You know, I love the saying of adversity doesn't make us stronger, it's our response to adversity that makes us stronger, right? Yeah. So, you know, after the North Gwinnett game, that was a wake-up call that we're not practicing the way we want to practice. After the South Forsyth game, again, I go back and I take credit for that. You know, we saw something on film of how we wanted to attack them, and it was a very sound plan. It made sense, and you know, and I could sit here and go over it, but it wasn't necessarily what we were best at. And that's why I talk about when you see a team that goes down. You know, just kind of talking about that game again. And you know, we were reeling in the second quarter. We were reeling at halftime, and then to watch them come out, we made some great adjustments. Yep. Coaches made some fantastic adjustments at halftime, and we shut them out in the second half.
That's right.
And had our opportunities to win that game, and we came up short. And you know, there's no shame in coming up short to a great football team.
Yeah.
And they're a really good football team. Yeah. But again, it was one of those things where you don't want to hang your head, because you know you can play better ball, and if you take the lessons from the game, you're going to be stronger for it. And I think we were, and I think we are now a stronger team because of heeding those lessons from a tough loss.
Yeah. Central Forsyth, no points scored until the fourth quarter. Final score 17-0. It's good in the books, but it left us all wondering a little bit about how do you put up 504 yards in total offense and still score 17 points and wait until the fourth quarter to put points on the board. Again, kind of what were your musings on that game afterwards?
Yeah, that game matched our week of practice. We were, we had come off of 3 really tough games, three long weeks. You had Roswell, you had West Forsyth, you had South Forsyth, and naturally it didn't matter who the opponent was. We were going to dial back a little bit. I wanted to start trimming practice down a little bit. I wanted to start minimizing some of the banging that was going on. And I don't know that I did a good job of clearly articulating that was a philosophical change that was happening because of where we were in the season. And I wonder if maybe we took it as we're taking this team lightly. And I feel like, that was definitely something I walked away from that game. Again, we were dominant in that game. But we were allowing them to hold the ball a little longer, and we had 3 possessions on offense. We had, in the first half, we had 2 huge miscues on our punt block team when we left the punter, and then we had an excessive block out of bounds. Those are like turnovers. And then, we moved the ball right down the field, and then, shoot ourselves in front, whether it was a penalty or whatever. So it was all self-inflicted. But again, I think that led to a very direct conversation on Sunday, which led to a very good practice on Monday, which led to a very good practice on Tuesday, and so on and so forth, and helped spur a really good game and a solid game on Friday.
Yeah. Hey, I don't want to kind of move away here from what's gone on in the past before we talk a little bit about the JV and the freshman teams and the success they had this year. I know the JV won by 1 point, I think. Don't know that you saw that game or you were there, but tell us a little bit about what happened there and what kind of things we can expect, in the future here. You all won't be here, but I probably will. So I'm interested in this answer.
Well, that JV group was one of the most fun to coach I've ever had. I think we do a pretty good job of getting those guys work in practice with varsity coaches, and we try to carve out time for them. And so that everybody kind of feels that connection to that team. And they competed all season long, and it was cool to see them avenge their only loss, which was the South Forsyth earlier in the year. And it really mirrored the game that we had with South Forsyth, except they were able to kind of pull it out right there at the end. South had a lead. We kept clawing back and clawing back and clawing back, and it looked like we weren't going to get there. And we got a good stop, and we converted on like a 4th and 25. Essentially Hail Mary into the end zone for a touchdown. 1 second to go, 20-20. So we got to make the extra point. It's JV, so that's hairy as it is. And kid you not, the snap wasn't even on the tee, and the kicker kicks it out of our holder's hand.
Oh, wow.
And he shoots straight up. And it literally comes down so close to the crossbar that the South Forsyth people thought it was no good. And we obviously thought it was good. And the only people that didn't really know were the officials, and they were looking at each other. And they finally give us the all good, and it was I had never seen anything like it. It was a heck of a game to without the theatrics, but to literally have a kick go up and everybody look at each other and go. And thank God we pulled it out. But very proud of those guys. Very proud of the freshmen too. The record may not be exactly what you want and things of that nature, but to me those levels are about improvement. And you saw those guys get better and better and better as they went on, and they were able to in their season with a big win as well. So proud of those guys, and they continue to get better and better.
So what happens to the varsity roster now? I mean, I saw a couple of roster changes last week. Do you bring kids up now that were at the freshman level? Or who suits up for the games now that were playing in those underclassmen games?
Well, and that's a good question because I don't think I did a good job of expressing or going over one of my philosophies as the JV season comes to an end. I remember being a 10th grader and being a wrestler and being on a playoff team and being that guy that essentially once the JV season was over, it got cold and I basically stuck my hands in my jersey and just tried to stay warm for 2.5 hours. Yeah. And it wasn't about not wanting to be there necessarily, and it wasn't about not being a team player. It was about, you know, my season's over, and I actually have a wrestling season that I would love to get to and help my school. So I've always carried that with me, and so there are some 10th graders who I will give the option to, you know. Okay. I want you out here. You know, never trying to get anybody to end the season early. But if there's something that you have in your plans that you feel would be more beneficial to you right now than basically standing at practice without any aspects of playing, I want you to know that I'm okay with that. And I want you to leave your season remembering the JV championship and not hopefully 6 more weeks of standing in the cold. And again, it's a very tricky message because it almost sounds like I'm pushing people out. It could be the opposite. It's actually empathy for that feeling of, man, I'm really getting a bad taste in my mouth just being out here for the sake of being out here. So I gave guys that option, and some chose to maybe go focus on school or maybe start a wrestling season or start a lacrosse thing, and I think that's great. Yeah. And some chose to stay on. We gave some freshmen some options to come up. There's 4 or 5 of those guys who came up and they're getting a taste of what varsity practice is like. And so at this point, anybody on the field, they dress.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Hey, so let's talk about the game coming up this week, right? North Forsyth. Just looking at some numbers for them against Lambert. The Raiders quarterback, Ben Bales, he threw it 35 times for 413 yards to 4 different receivers. This was against Lambert. Their running game is pretty good as well. They put up 641 yards of total offense against Lambert in that game. So, you know, I know that you guys seem to tweak the game plan, the formations, and certain personnel during the course of the week as you look forward to these games that are coming up. Tell us about that game preparation a little bit. What do you look for? What kind of changes do you look to make? And if you can share anything at all about what you're doing to prepare for North Forsyth.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of hitting it on the head. I mean, we're going to break down our opponents and scout what they do well. You know, what is it that they want to do? You know, especially if you can find similar opponents. You know, just maybe what they've done to a defense at similar to ours, or maybe what their defense will do to an offense at similar to ours, and then you start the game plan. That's the schematics is a big part of it, but the bigger piece to me is always the matchup. So, you know, who can we get matched up on who, or you know, where are those situations that we really feel like, you know, either is a huge advantage or a disadvantage for us. And then you go into the special teams phases, and then you try to find your ability to you know, alter the game that way. You know, can we get after a punt? You know, we blocked 4 of them this year. You know, what are they trying to do on kickoff? I mean, we don't just line up and run 10 guys down on the kickoff team. We actually break it down and scheme it up, and we've got different guys coming from different spots based on how their blocking assignment seems to work. And we've had a lot of success with that. So, you know, North Forsyth, obviously, we're going to have to be able to stop the pass, probably just up the quarterback a little bit and cover him up. He's a great quarterback. They've got really good receivers who run precise routes. They are very, very rhythmic, well-coached offense. And they match that on defense as well. They're not real exotic. They're not, you know, dialing up a ton of pressure, but they're very solid and fundamentally sound. They're going to be in the right spot. They tackle well. You know, they don't blow coverages, so they're going to force you to beat them. They're not going to beat themselves.
Let's talk about the playoffs a little bit, right? And I'd really like to ask, when you're thinking about the teams you have to play, you know, a couple of weeks out during the regular season, you're probably already doing some preparation, at least mentally, about how you want to work the practice how early you want to start kind of preparing for certain teams that you're playing. It's tough when you get in the playoffs when it's a mystery, right, as to who you're going to be playing.
Yep.
But as you do prepare for North, and I think you kind of got a feel right now about where we may be seated at the end of this time next week. Are you looking forward to the teams we might be playing and studying those guys and their schemes and what we need to be doing this week even to start preparing for them, or just too early for that?
Yeah, it's too early. First off, I mean, you got to get through North first.
There you go.
And if you don't take care of business this week, that opens up a whole different can of worms. We're in the playoffs. We've clinched that, but we definitely want that home playoff game.
Yeah.
And if we take care of business, we should get that. There are still some small windows that could throw a wrench in that, if depending on how the West and the South side game goes. But no, you don't really plan ahead and do too much to scout those guys out. First off, you don't know who you will play. You don't know any of that stuff. You should at this point have a holistic enough plan to where we can easily adjust and adapt to whoever we play. So, and that's part of that process that I've talked about all year. About we're building the big picture plan to be ready by that time, so that you don't have to go in and say, oh man, well I guess we got to try and start doing this now because with this team. No, it should already be an answer to any problem that we see.
Well, you already said that you're going to do what you guys do best, and it sounds like that's what you're going to try to adapt into every one of those games going forward. Let's talk about the Corky Cal Classic in 2018. I don't remember Milton ever being in that game. Maybe they never have been, but that's really exciting. Playing Archer in August. What went into the decision, or what's the criteria for a team to be welcomed into that kind of stable of football teams?
Well, that's now we're really talking big picture stuff here, but that was a major plan of mine, is to try to get us into some of those marquee matchup games to promote our program and push it forward to another level. It's kind of one of those things. If you build it, they will come type of attitude. Talking about how we want to be perceived. So we're going to build this program in a way that we are going to determine. We are going to be first notch, top notch. We're going to be a national brand, and eventually I think we'll catch up to that. Not only are we playing in the Corky Cal, but we also are hosting what is going to be a fantastic. I think it's got the potential to be the premier high school football event in the country. It's called the Freedom Bowl, and it's in concert with Arrow, which is a military kind of group. And they've done 7-on-7 tournament stuff in the past, the last 10 years, but now they're creating a bowl, so to speak, like a Corky Cal. And there'll be 12 teams in it. We'll all be played right on Milton's campus. Wow. Starting Labor Day weekend, starting that Friday. That Thursday actually is a character development thing with ex-military guys. And then we'll be hosting 6 ball games. Friday and Saturday, we'll take part in that. And
so that's Labor Day weekend.
It's Labor Day weekend, and again, we'll be inviting, or they will be inviting premier talent in the Southeast. From the likes of the St. Thomas Aquinas, or Hoover Alabama, a Grayson, a Colquitt, a Milton. And it may take a year or two, but eventually, we are in the epicenter of football. There's no mistake why the College Football Hall of Fame is in Atlanta. It's the best football in the world is played in the Southeast, and to be able to get an event like that hosted here, I think is going to eventually be something that attracts. It'll be the event of the year. I really believe it has that potential. So
fantastic.
Super excited about that.
First I heard about that too. Seniors, right? I think there was a big event for seniors today. Congratulations to all these seniors. They got more than one game left. That's always exciting, right?
Yep.
But what can you say about this group of seniors? I counted 26 on the roster. I hope that number's about right. What can you say about these seniors and what they've done to lead to the success that the program's had this year? they played under different coaches, right, before you showed up, and here you come in their final season, and somehow they've got to make it work with the new guy. They got to train you all over again. So, so what about these guys? What can you say about them?
I'm humbled and blessed to inherit a group like this group. You know, first thing I did when I came in is I set aside, you know, I think we had 30 meetings, one-on-one meetings in 7 days or something like that. And those meetings they were 15-minute meetings that were close to an hour, and it was important to me to sit down and talk to all those seniors, you know, face to face, and let them hear my plan, let them hear my vision, and then to hear their plan and their vision. You know, what is it that you liked or didn't like or want to see, or you know, what's the pulse? And I think that was probably the most valuable time I spent in the entire program process. Because I think we instantly got connected, and just, you know, we all made a commitment to each other that we were going to, you know, do this thing to the best of our ability. You know, we're here, it's done, let's go. We ain't nowhere but going forward now, and they've been awesome, man. They're a joy to work with. They got great attitudes, and they're extremely respectful, and they're pretty darn good football players too. It's been a great journey, and you know, I couldn't have asked for a better group of young men to come in and take on this challenge with us.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, hey, that's all the kind of interview questions I've got for you right now. I think we're going to take some Q&A from the floor. You got anything, Tim, in writing from anybody so far? And we're back. You got you live? You good? Okay. All right, Q&A time, folks. Lots of questions around defense, Coach. Looks like some of them are similar. I'll try not to ask the same question twice unless we don't like the first answer. Goal line defense. Do we plan to continue to stay in a three-man front or bring in some big boys like DJ?
We've been working, we actually have been working that package, DJ, and maybe some big Paul down there. You know, we haven't had a lot of low red goal line stand opportunities, to be honest with you. But yeah, those are definitely some packages we're working on, and you got to be careful there, because you know you take away from your own line if you start using those guys on D line. But yeah, definitely something we're looking into.
Okay, Coach, you've always mentioned that you want to play your best football come playoff time. So how close would you say we are to being having our best football game, and what do we need to work on to have that game?
About 89.7%.
89.7?
No, I think we're getting close. You know, it's so qualitative. You know, it's not quantitative. It's nothing that you look at and say, well, that's as good as we can get. So, you know, it's really more of a feeling. You know, I feel like last Friday night, I feel like the Roswell game, you know, I feel like those games show you glimpses of how good you can be. You know, like I said, if we clean up a penalty or two and punch those two low red zone opportunities in, you know, we had one or two misfits on defense, and we clean those up, and I think that's about where we want to be, and I think that would be a tough out for anybody if we do those things. So I really believe we're getting close. Like I said, took a huge step this past week in kind of our way we practice and our you know, week day-to-day kind of preparation. I feel like we've been slowly getting better at lots of different things, you know, both offense, defense, special teams, schematically and fundamentally. So we're getting close.
Yeah, this one, not so much goal line, but just kind of defense in general. Seems to be a pattern where teams have been running up the middle and exposing what appears to be holes in our defense. Is there anything more you can add as far as what we're doing to try to keep those holes closed or prevent that from happening?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's if there's a hole, there's somebody who didn't fit right. All right, so there is, you know, responsibilities. I'm sitting there watching it with the guys today and listening to them commend kind of our linebackers and our defensive line on how much better we're getting at how we fit the pieces of the puzzle together. If one person is in charge of what we call spilling this gap, which means we're trying to close that gap off and bounce the ball outside, bounce it towards the sideline.
Right.
We've got to have a linebacker coming in, what we call scraping, over the top to make the play. So if either somebody doesn't spill or somebody doesn't scrape, then you're going to have a hole, and that's typically what it is. You know, it could be one or the other or both. So everybody has a very specific job to do. You know, I think a lot of times people get hung up in starting phases of defenses because I will bet you dollars and donuts that when you put the pen on the paper and you see where everybody ends up, every defense kind of looks the same. It's all about gap responsibility and getting to where you're supposed to be. So it doesn't matter if you have 3 linemen, 4 linemen, 5 linemen, 2 linemen. I don't care how many you got out there. You're going to have somebody responsible to take this gap, and that gap. So it's all about getting your guys there and everybody understanding their role.
What's up with the Falcons? Can you help?
I don't know. I haven't been able to watch them at all, so I'm working. But
they had a little better day today.
Better get it together. I want to do some playoffs.
Hey, you mentioned the offensive identity coming out of the South Forsyth game. You know, you recognized and started to kind of define, okay, what are we best at, right? So how would you describe what we're best at? What is our offensive identity?
So a big part of that process was going back and doing a self-scout and what I call kind of a quality control analysis. So over the last 4 games, counting South, I went back and basically categorized every play that we did in, you know, was it a drop back passing concept? Was it a inside run play? Was it an outside run play? Was it a run pass option style play? So on and so forth. And what you see is you'll see a pattern develop, you know. Our drop back passing game was not very good. We had 17 called drop. Again, when I call it drop back, it's not a quick game. It's not, you know, one-on-one something. We had 17 pass attempts, 12 different concepts, and we were 33% completion, a couple interceptions, so on and so forth. So that stuff wasn't real good. So there's other ways that you can do what you're trying to do in that mold without it just being a straight drop back pass. I think what you've seen in the last 2 games, and you'll see more of, we're utilizing the working play action. And we're being able to get move the pocket, utilizing play action and some different things that we've kind of cooked up and worked on. Saw that it's called the power read play that we run. It was the play that we scored a touchdown against Central with, play we scored first play of the game against Lambert. We had only run it 5 times in those 4 games, and it was averaging 12 yards a carry. So obviously that's something we want to start doing more of. Sure. So we just kind of went back through and really looked at what do we do really well. We throw a screen game on the perimeter extremely well. We're going to do more of it. We run inside zone and we run the ball inside well. I mean, we average over 6 yards a carry. It was the window dressing and a few of those other pieces that, you know, hey, instead of trying to be a jack of all trades, let's figure out what it is that we're doing the best. Let's get to that. Let's minimize what we're not doing the best. Let's exclude that, and then let's figure out what we need to put in to make it a holistic offense so that we can just rinse and repeat and go and do it again. Kind of like the playoff conversation we were having. We want it to be a holistic deal so that it doesn't matter who you line up with. You don't have to then go and recreate the wheel or do something that we haven't been practicing. Just go, you know,
so you're defining your fundamentals, right? What you're best at. But you know what you already told us, you're 4 for 4 on trick plays. Why aren't you best at those?
Maybe we should just be all trick plays. There we go.
Question for me. Friday is Veterans Day. Any plans for special recognition for vets and active duty military? My answer, I just read what they tell me. I hope we do that. Seems very appropriate on Friday night to recognize our veterans. Special recognition for vets and active duty military. I guess I'd look to Mandy maybe to take that one forward to the the run of show meeting on Tuesday morning that we have every week to kind of prepare for that. So, is Mandy here?
She's already left.
Okay, well, I'll make sure she knows. But great suggestion. I'm not aware of any plans for Veterans Day recognition, but we'll try to work it in. I know we have probably 45 minutes of me reading scripts and bios about every kid that's a senior in the band, on the football team, and on the cheerleading squad. So that takes about 45 at the front end of the game. Hopefully I'll have a voice by halftime. A few additional stats for the year. This fan says, good, because there's only 8 turnovers versus 14. I guess that means for the opponents on the season. Bad. Penalties. Milton, 72 penalties for 668 yards, and 56 for the other guys for 521 yards. I took a look at that. I was trying to figure out, mostly on offense, mostly on defense, where are these things? You probably know I didn't slice it and dice it, but what about that? That's a big number, certainly significantly larger than our opponents. What are we thinking about trying to minimize, or at least mitigate, the penalties?
Yeah, again, you look for patterns. It's one of those things that I think we've cut down on a lot of the pre-snap penalties. We'll have a false start, or maybe an alignment issue from time to time. The biggest one, I would guess, has just been the holding on offense, and it's been probably pass interference on defense. And the one thing I'll say about it, and again, I don't know if this sounds like it's making an excuse or it's downplaying it. Obviously, we're going to try and correct it and get it where it's not a penalty. I've probably never been called, or had a team called for more questionable calls. Now, we'll call them penalties if they are, and I get it, but it's really hard. I want to balance taking aggression out of kids and making them scared to play the game. Because we're blocking great on the perimeter. I mean, it is one of the best perimeter blocking teams I've ever had, and it's just getting that hand circled back inside. And then for the pass interference ones, I'm telling you, I mean, I can pull up 4 or 5 of them that we've been called for and shake my head and say that they never call that any other time.
Right.
I don't get it. So, that's not a great answer because it's not giving you I definitely take credit for them, and it's definitely something that we're not coaching them to do penalties, but we are coaching them to play hard and to challenge, and sometimes you're going to get some penalties along with that. We've really cut back on any of the personal fouls. Early in the year we had a couple of games of those, and we haven't had a personal foul, a true personal foul, and that's considered unsportsmanlike conduct in quite some time. We had a tough one 2 weeks ago against Central where we got called for excessive blocking out of bounds, whereas it was actually our guy who got left up and pulled out of bounds, and he was trying to get off of it. And they called us for excessive blocking out of bounds, and that was a 15-yard penalty game the first game of the point. So, it is what it is, but when you look at the numbers, we are penalizing more than our opponent, so it's something that we're definitely be conscious of and continue trying to fix and improve upon.
I'm just proud of the fans for coming out and asking these questions. Before the season started, they weren't nearly as tough, and now we're in this fine-tuning mode, right? We're asking these kind of fine-tuning.
Keep me on the toes.
So that's good. All right, this doesn't need to take long, and it can. This fan must expect that West is going to beat South this weekend, and that somehow there's going to be a 3-way tie for first place in our region. So what's the playoff tiebreaker for a 3-way tie?
So our criteria starts with head-to-head. So obviously,
head-to-head, right.
So if all 3 teams beat each other, then it goes to quality points. And quality point is essentially what region team did you beat, and you get a point for every win that they had. Well, we would have all beaten the same team, so it would skip then to point differential. The only way that we could be region champs is if
region champs, number 1.
The only way that we could be region champs is if, first off, we take care of business on Friday. But if West Forsyth wins by exactly 8 points, and it is in a high-scoring game. Because what it would then do is point differential. The point differential of west wind would be exactly what south wind was, which would skip it to the next criteria, which would be points given up in the 3 games. And if so, if we only gave up 21 points to south and we gave up 13 points to west, if west wins by 8 points and both teams score, let's say 35 points, we would be region champions. However, if west were to win by more than 8 points, we would be third.
Yeah.
Because they would advance, it would kick us back to head-to-head with South Forsyth, and then we would lose that.
Right.
So why don't we just have South win?
Yeah. Now, if South does win, though, are we 2 regardless? So South, that's the simple one. The simple thing we can hope for.
Gotta win.
If we win Friday.
Gotta win.
Right.
We win Friday, they win. Let's do that.
You talked about the Labor Day event next year. When are the teams going to be selected for that?
They'll be inviting them now. So hopefully within 2 weeks or so, we'll have a good idea.
Okay. We're hosting it, so we got to be there, right? We're in. Yeah.
What day will we play? 6 games? Did you say 12 teams?
12 teams, 6 games.
All day long.
All day long, Friday, Saturday, and potentially a couple on Sunday. We get all the concessions and parking.
We need all you senior parent volunteers right back in the stadium Labor Day weekend. No vacation plans.
Are they televised?
So that's what I'm really trying to help them with, is essentially ESPN comes in based on prospects. Does that make sense? That's what drives their market. So I'm trying to get in the most prospects that we can, and that way we can hopefully have some ESPN ball games.
So we need your son to decommit.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
I'm kidding.
No, it's not commits. It's just their ratings or whatnot. So we'll be attractive, with Joe and with Paul and Jordan, and we've got some talented guys coming back, and you get a St. Thomas in here, you get a Colquitt in here, you get a Grayson in here, you get a Hoover in here, you get a Bowles, South Carolina, any of those types of schools, or Burns, Bowles is in Florida. So then you start making the matchups, so it's exciting. I really believe, maybe not this year, but if we do this thing right, I'm not being hyperbolic when I say I think it can be the premier high school football event in the country. Labor Day weekend, 12 great teams, Southeast, don't get much better than that.
Well, Coach, if you don't step up and lead, then you never get there, right? So thanks for doing that on behalf of everybody here at Milton. And I want to close it down, Tim, with just a thank you here to you for doing this program. I missed 3 out of 5, but the 2 I was at were spectacular, and I don't know if many other coaches have put themselves out in front like you do. They're probably easier coming off of a win and tougher coming off of a loss. I'm not sure we had one coming off of a loss, did we? So we'll let you off easy this year. This is the last regularly scheduled Clack's Corner, I guess, during the season. So we'll see where we go from here. But thanks for doing this. I think everybody really appreciates that.
I enjoy them. I think it's important. It establishes a connection, and it kind of gives you a candid look at some things that I think are important. Communicate. You can't communicate enough with this stuff. Even when you think you're communicating well, you can always get better. There's always ways that I know how it is. Young man come home, he's having a bad day, and you're going to get that message, and vice versa. So I want to make sure we're all above board, and if there's ever an issue, that we can sort it out and we can talk about it, or at least understand the rationale behind it. I try to do a great job of always at least having a reason, a why behind it. So I really enjoyed it. Again, it's one of the big draws to me about this school was this community, and it's something that I tried to do in the past, and I never could get it off the ground. So thanks to y'all, and thanks to you and Tim and everybody involved in getting this together, because I think it's really neat and really cool way to get everybody involved. So thank you guys.
We got, what, 5 games to play?
5 more games.
All right.